Hey ambitious professionals, it's Linda Rayner of lindarainer.com, guiding you to a career and life you'll truly enjoy. Now, if you are someone who has been hunting for a job for the last little while and you haven't been getting much traction, aside from the current climate and situation that we're in, there are likely other key reasons why this is not working out for you. So today, I want to walk you through 6 things that you need to stop doing if you want to get hired. So let's get into it. Now, as a career strategist, I have had the honor of being able to help numerous ambitious corporate professionals to land their dream job offers. And so if this is something that you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I can give you details about that at the end of this video. So if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you've probably become very familiar with the things that I teach in terms of what you should be doing when it comes to looking for a job and how to successfully land that job offer. But there are things that you shouldn't be doing as well that I may not have mentioned in the past and that others may not have told you. So today I'm going to share with you 6 things that you need to stop doing if you want to get hired soon. The first thing that you should stop doing is to stop skimming job descriptions. This is the thing that I've seen happen time and time again, where a lot of job candidates will go online, you click on a job posting, and then you skim through it. Within 30 seconds, you're like, oh yeah, that job kind of sounds like a job that I could do, and you submit your resume. That is not what you want to do if you want to be seen as a candidate that is aligned to that position. Because there's a good chance that if all you do is skim the job description, you've missed out on some key aspects of the role that they really want you to have, and you've missed out on being able to portray that either on your resume or later on if you do get an interview in the interview. So what you want to do instead is to study the job descriptions. Before you submit your application, before you go in for the interviews, you want to study these job descriptions and make sure that you truly understand what the role is asking for, what the hiring managers are asking for, so that you can relate to them in the application and in the interview. So as a repeat, stop skimming the job descriptions. From now on, you are going to comb through the job descriptions. You're going to read them through line by line, word for word, and fully understand what it is the hiring managers are looking for. The second thing that you should stop doing is to stop sending the same resume to every job posting. This is one of the most common mistakes that I have seen done time and time again by job candidates, where you take your one resume that you've created, not knowing for sure if it's an exact match for the job that you want to apply for, and you just blast it out to dozens, if not hundreds, of job postings. You do not want to send the same resume to every posting. Why is that? Because every posting is slightly different. Every company is different. What they're looking for is slightly different. So how can you assume that your one resume is going to match what they're really looking for? You can't. And that is why it is so important to be able to customize your resume for every posting. Now, a lot of people will go and panic when I tell them that they need to customize their resume because they're worried that they have to rewrite their entire resume. That is not the case. If you learn the right approach, the right strategy on how to create a strong, attractive, compelling resume, all you're going to have to do is make tweaks to it. You're just going to have to customize it a little bit here and there. And if you know the right strategies, you'll know exactly where you need to tweak. So if you need help in this area, I have a free workshop that teaches you exactly how to do this. So feel free to check that out. The link is in the description box down below. It's also down here on this page as well. Feel free to check it out after this video and learn how you can write a really compelling, attractive resume so that when you have to apply for jobs, you simply have to tweak it a little bit so that it is aligned to that particular company, that particular job posting, that particular hiring manager. The third thing that you should stop doing when it comes to looking for a job if you want to get hired is to stop going to interviews unprepared. This may sound so obvious, but it is also another very, very common mistake that I see job candidates make. they get called for interviews and they're completely unprepared for them because they assume, and maybe you make this mistake as well, you assume that it's just a few questions, you just have to answer the questions and that's it. But an interview is much more than that. An interview is, if you really want to think of it, it's almost as though it's a sales presentation and you are the one making the sales pitch. So if you're not prepared to make a sales pitch in front of the hiring manager of why you are a fit for them and you're not prepared for any of the questions that they have to ask you, it looks terrible on your part because you clearly are unprepared. So for example, if a hiring manager asks you, why do you want this job? Or if they ask you, what do you know about us? And you stumble through your answers, you're likely not going to get called for the next round. So you really want to stop going into interviews unprepared. And if you need help in this area, I also have a resource for you. I have my free interview strategy workshop, which the link is also in the description box down below. It's also here on this page. Feel free to check out my resources because if you really want to improve your job search, you need to learn the right strategies and the right approaches. So feel free to check that out to improve your interview skills so that you can be that much more prepared for that next interview. Now, the fourth thing to stop doing is to stop applying to jobs that you're not interested in or you don't want. Now, there are a multitude of reasons why you should stop doing this. One of the reasons is because if you really don't actually want that position, but you just want to apply just to see what happens, what can happen is that if you do well, for example, you may continue to progress in the interview stages and then you end up getting the job offer and you might end up taking it and being miserable after. Now that's a good case scenario in a sense, but also bad on your part because you're probably going to end up leaving after a couple of months if you really don't enjoy the job. So that's one reason, but another reason is also you're just wasting your time. If you're applying for positions that you don't have any knowledge in, you are not skilled or experienced in, so this is the more likely scenario rather than the first scenario I just mentioned, you're going to feel very defeated because you're not going to get called back for any interviews. And that's going to lessen your confidence with this whole job search, and then once you do get called for interviews for other positions, you're going to just simply feel that you're not a fit and you're not going to do well. So that's why it's so important to be strategic with your job search. Apply to the roles that you know you can likely potentially get, and then also look for the positions that you have the right qualifications, experience, and skills for. Things that you know you've done before or that you've learned in school that you can apply to this position. So you really want to avoid just blasting your resume to every job posting and seeing what happens because, again, that's a lot of work if you're going to end up customizing your resume, which hopefully you will be doing. Now that I've mentioned it, you're going to be customizing your resume for every position, so why send it out to positions that you're not actually interested in? Okay, so you really want to focus on the roles that you want. The fifth thing that you should stop doing is to stop focusing on the company and instead focus on the job or position itself. This is another classic mistake that I see people do. They apply to all the big brand name shiny companies and they apply to roles that they're either not interested in or not totally a fit for or not really going to be a match for. So you end up applying to these roles with these great companies, but then you end up getting typecasted into that position. And if you don't enjoy the job that you applied for and that you took on in that company, it doesn't matter if it's the most amazing company in the world, if it was Google or Facebook or whatever amazing brand name company. If you don't like your job, you're going to be miserable. And then what's going to happen is you're not going to perform all that well, potentially, because you're miserable. And then the next job that you want to apply for, you're going to be typecasted into that particular role. People aren't necessarily going to look at just the company. They're going to look at the title of the job that you held before, the skills and experiences that you gained, and they're going to fit you into a certain role that matches that, ideally. So if you want to get out of that type of job, it's going to be difficult. You're going to end up feeling stuck in that particular role, and you're going to want to pivot and make a move, and it likely will be difficult if it's a very specialized or very specific position. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you can focus on the job and make sure that this is the type of job that I know I want and I want to do, rather than the company, that's going to set you up for success in the long term, because then growth and promotions and opportunities to move up in that particular field, that type of position, is going to be available to you. So again, focus on the role, not so much the company. Even if you start off with a smaller, lesser known name company, it's fine, because if you have the right skills and experiences, you can move into those better organizations in the right job, and so you'll be a fit all around. The last thing that you should stop doing is to stop beating yourself down and feeling as though you'll never find a job. I know how easy it is to blame the situation that we're currently in with coronavirus, with unemployment rates, with the way the economy is going, to say that it just feels impossible that you'll ever find a job anytime soon. But to be honest, if you buy into that belief, and if you really drag yourself down, your energy is going to be impacted, and the way that you conduct your job search and the way you handle interviews, the way that you apply for jobs, all of that is going to be impacted. In my personal experience, working with many ambitious corporate professionals one-on-one, what I have seen is that those students who are most motivated, who stay positive, stay optimistic, that's the key word, optimistic. They stay optimistic and they believe that there will be a role out there for them. They end up getting the jobs the quickest. They end up getting the best jobs that they could possibly get in that time frame. And they end up being the happiest with their results because they stayed optimistic. They believed that it was going to happen, and they did everything they needed to do to make that happen. If you want to sit in your own misery and not feel good about where you're at, and then not believe that anything good is possible for you, that's completely entirely up to you. You can totally do that, but just know that that's going to impact what happens to you. That's going to impact the results that you get. You are likely going to stay unemployed longer because you're not pushing yourself and bringing yourself up enough to be able to meet what's necessary to get that job. You have to rise yourself up to meet the world's expectations when it comes to that job offer, for example. Your energy is so key. So that is the last thing that I would say to stop doing. Stop whining, complaining, because it is hurting you. It's not helping you. So there you go. Those are the 6 things that I recommend you stop doing if you want to get hired, hopefully soon. So hopefully that helps. If you are someone who's currently on the market and you've been struggling with your job search, and you realize you've been doing these things or not doing the things that I've mentioned, and yet it's still not working, and you're interested in working with me one-on-one, then feel free to head on over to my website, lindarainer.com/standoutgethired, read through the page, fill in the application form, and from there, if it seems as though we are a potential match, then one of my team members will be reaching out to you directly. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.